Good afternoon. My community, its best resource is people. It's what drives me to action. It is amazing to see African American males, school age, walking the street during school time and not being seen. It is amazing how the unintentional looks, the unseen individual, are the best resources that we have in our community. But folks don't want to see them. They don't want to hear them. One of the young men that worked with me told me, he said, you know, Ms. Saunders, folks don't see us unless we're really smart or we're really mean. There's no in between. But we as a people, we have to make the in between. Rural communities matter. Rural communities matter, have mattered for years and years and years. I grew up as a tenant farmer's daughter, as you saw in the video, and I've seen tenant farmers and domestics send 8 and 9 kids to school on tenant farmers and domestic salaries. Now, if you can't tell me rural doesn't matter, who can make that happen this day and time? No one. Rural mattered then, and it matters now. In 2009, we had a very progressive thinking superintendent, and it amazed me that school-age African-American boys were walking past the Board of Education during school time, and teachers saw this, administrators saw this, and even parents saw this, but nobody really wanted to see this. So he came to me and told me, he said, you know, we have a building, but we don't have any money. He said it again, we have a building, but we don't have any money. And if you think that we give you this building, could you do something with it? So me being the person that I was, having a timeshare in mental health, I said, you know, I can do this. I can make my rural community matter. I can make a difference in what's happening in these boys' lives. So what I did was I traveled throughout the summer and I found 117 school-age African-American boys, and I opened up the Hive House, Bertie Hive Alternative School. We kept those cool kids in school from 7:30 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. And what amazed me was the crime rate for juveniles went down in Bertie County, but it went up in all the other counties. And I think that happened because we had the kids in our presence. They were learning things from us, and we took the time to learn things about them. One of the things I decided to do when I opened up the Hive is I wanted a fresh face. I wanted fresh things for the Hive. I wanted fresh people. Because if you're a teacher and you're just in it for the money and you're not in it for the kids, kids won't learn. I was sharing with someone earlier that I like to make up words. And one of the words that I made up was fakeration. Now, children know when you're fake. Children know when you don't really want to be there with them and you're just buying your time and watching the clock. So what we have to do is put ourselves in that child's position. You think about sitting at an office desk for 8 to 9 hours and your boss really don't want to talk to you, really don't want to be there with you, really don't want to help you in any way. Just put yourself in that position. How would you feel? Would you want to be there? Would you want someone to come and talk to you and ask you to do something? No. So we've got to put ourselves in the place of those children that we're supposed to serve. The Hive House was my baby. It was an opportunity for me to not only help my children in the community, but I also had an opportunity to help the families in the community. Because if you don't change the thinking of the families, it's no need to work with the children. The mindset of parents have to change in rural communities. Because if you tell yourself that, or if a parent is telling themselves, I can buy a $200 pair of Jordan and put on this child's feet to wear, but I'm not willing to buy a $5 book for them to read, that thinking has got to change. You've got to change your priorities. And if you don't change your priorities with your parents in your communities, the children are not going to go anywhere. In the video you saw that we took the children past from them. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people are captured by their past. Who's your mama? Who's your daddy? Was your granddaddy a drunk? Was your uncle a drunk? And when you come in a classroom and people already got perceptions about you and what you're going to do in life, that destroys a child's mind. That destroys their self-worth. And I find in the school system today that a lot of teachers are doing that. They already decide the fate of children before they even get started. So building bridges is the theme today. And in the rural North Carolina, we don't say bridges, we say planks. You know, you put that plank across that ditch and you hop that plank. Well, plank to me means a lot, because when you lay planks down, you got to put one behind the other to reinforce what you're doing. The P in planks, the first thing is your people. You have got to be invested in your people. And for this thing, for my life and for my community, my people are my children, my African American children, who are the gold mine and the untapped resources in our community. The L is my life. I grew up poor. I grew up a tenant farmer's daughter. So I'm not coming in from the outside trying to be the white knight trying to save, or the black knight in this case, trying to save folks on a horse. They know that I know how it feels not to have food, to dig in the couch and try to get up enough money to buy a loaf of bread, to stay in a house without lights. I've experienced that. I've experienced that in my life. It amazes me. I want to share a story with you. When I first moved to Bertie County, our family finances were not where they should have been. And myself and my two little boys, my husband was on the road driving trucks, managed to stay in a home for 7 months with no lights. Now, these children were in school, and the people knew that we had no lights in the house. But you know, nobody wanted to see it in the community. And that's how a lot of people do with things that are going on negative in our community. They sweep it under the rug. They put it on the back burner. They try not to see it. So the unseen person in the community, the people, we got to make them visible. Folks, how are we going to make the folks that are unseen in our community visible? And then A in plank, P-L-A, L is life, A is attitude. What is your attitude about the folk that you want to serve? Do you have an elitist attitude? Oh, well, you ought to be happy that I want to talk to you anyway. You know what I'm saying? What is your attitude? What are teachers' attitude? What is the commissioner's attitude? What are your leaders' attitude about what you're trying to do for folk in your community? And then N is need. Oh man, that is the biggest part of the conversation that we need to have. What is the need? And in order to find out the need, you got to bring everybody to the table. You just can't make all the decisions by yourself. It just can't be the commissioners. It just cannot be the teachers, the superintendent. But you got to get Miss Mary down the street who's standing on the corner smoking a cigarette. You got to get Grandma Jane that's back there in the trailer house all the time, the one who gives the soda and the candies. You got to get that unofficial gossip in the community a seat at the table so they'll have a voice. So your need is the biggest conversation that you have to have. And K does not stand for comfort, but it's kitchen. And as y'all can see, hey, I love to be in the kitchen. So I love to cook. So I just put K with kitchen and cooking, because that's comfort food. You have got to have people so they're in a conducive environment where they feel comfortable, where young African American males do not feel indicted coming in a store or walking in a place of business or even walking in a classroom. And then comfort for them also, you have to flip the script. They need to carry themselves in a way that people feel comfortable having them around them. So it's two sides of the coin. And so S for me stands for success. If we push all of these agendas forward unselfishly, removing the hidden agendas, we will be moving towards success. We as a people in America today, we try to conform or do what I call it an urban facelift to rural communities. We try to flip them and try to reconstruct them to look like urban societies. But rural rocks. If we didn't find it out anywhere else, but in the last presidential election, we found out that rural rocks, whether your person won or not, the rural all of a sudden got pushed to the front of the agenda. So rural communities matters. We have to carry ourselves as if we are standing up straight and tall in rural America. We cannot be ashamed of our ruralness. This is one of the most beautiful places that I've been in my life today. And I would put it up against San Francisco or anywhere else. But rural America rocks. Our greatest resource is our people, and we need to take our own stand on making sure rural people are seen and heard in America. Thank you.